shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Behave yourselves!
Hello, YouTubers out there. This is Jerry Saravia the Movies. So I just watched the trailer for Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. This will be the fourth film in the Beverly Hills Cop series that started in 1984. So that means that when this new movie comes out, which is next summer of 2024, it will be 40 years since the original Beverly Hills Cop. And Eddie Murphy is back, of course, as Axel Foley, the Detroit police detective, and I think in this one, actually, he is apparently a police lieutenant, which makes sense after so much time. And he does have an estranged daughter who works in Beverly Hills. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is also in the picture, plays a detective. Judge Reinhold and John Ashton are back, which is interesting, especially about John Ashton, because John Ashton had not appeared in the third Beverly Hills Cop film, which came out in 1994. Which would have been 30 years ago. I mean, that's weird. Anyway, so Paul Reiser returns after 35 years playing Detective Jeffrey Friedman. He was in the first two films, working alongside Axel Foley in Detroit. And he seemed to have actually an enlarged role, which served the purpose in Beverly Hills Cop 2. So he's back, along with Bronson Pinchot, who is... I think I'm pronouncing that name. I've, of course, known this actor for a long time. But he plays Serge, and he's back. How he figures into this movie, I don't know, because in the third film, he showed up, and he was a arms dealer, I think. Yeah, weapons dealer in the third film, which I didn't really care for the third film, but it's one of those movies, you know what, Beverly Hills Cop 3 is kind of like Superman 3. Like, you know it doesn't work, but there are moments in it that seem to work. So even though you tell yourself this is really not a good movie, there are moments in it that sort of, you know, elevate a little bit, even though it's not close to the freshness and style of the first two films in the series. Anyway, Kevin Bacon plays Captain Grant, who's a new police captain in the Beverly Hills Police Department. And judging by the trailer, clearly there's some tension between him and Axel Foley, which is a good idea. So there you have it. Now, if you remember, Jill Hill, he played Inspector Todd in Beverly Hills Cop 3, 2, and 1. And in the third film, he's gunned down. So obviously he's not going to return in these, but Jill Hill unfortunately did pass away back in 2016 at the age of 84. So having Axel Foley as the police lieutenant makes sense. And the other one that's missing from these films, so having Kevin Bacon replace Ronnie Cox, who played Captain Bogomil, makes sense. Ronnie Cox also, unfortunately, had passed away. Now, the first Beverly Hills Cop was a terrific action comedy. It really was. It's probably still the best in the series, by far. I'd seen that in theaters back in December of 1984. Wow, it's exactly 40 years ago. And then Cop 2 came out in 1987, which was... Well, let's change that a little. Beverly Hills Cop was really more of a comedy action picture. The comedy seemed to be stressed more than the action. Cop 2 did the reverse. It stressed more the action than the comedy. And I think it tried to find humor in the action. It's interesting that this movie, the original Beverly Hills Cop, was first offered to Sylvester Stallone, which later became, if I'm not mistaken, if memory serves, became Cobra in 1986, which was a terrible movie. But sorry if there are Cobra fans out there. But that kind of, it sort of metamorphosed into that Cobra. But it was initially a Stallone vehicle. And initially, by the way, here's some good trivia, Martin Scorsese was attached to direct, or at least was asked if he wanted to direct Beverly Hills Cop. And he chose not to. So, the third film is really the least of the series. Now, the fourth film, it sounds like they're going to try to kind of revitalize what was present in part two, and perhaps a little bit of emotion to some degree from part one. My issue is that I look forward to seeing this because I like Eddie Murphy. I haven't seen his last couple of pictures. This one is done by Netflix, by the way, which is not apparently going to be releasing it in theaters, even though I'd heard prior to this that it was going to be, but apparently they will not be, it seems, only on Netflix, which I think is a bit of a disservice to Eddie Murphy. You know, I mean, these movies made his career, and how can you not release a new Beverly? But maybe they just, I don't know. I don't know why they're doing that. I wish they would show it in theaters. I mean, I think people would go to see it. But it's hard to say because by the time the third film came around, there wasn't an interest in the 80s type of, you know, action comedy. And that movie was just, it sort of had it had a problem with tone. It seemed a little too farcical. You know, it was directed by John Landis, so you can imagine it just, he's sometimes the right fit for a comedy, but an action comedy, I gotta say, John Landis is the last person I would pick. This new director is named Malloy, Australian director, and somebody I'm not familiar with. Apparently, he had only done, Mark Malloy had only done some shorts, so I don't know how this is gonna fare, but you know, we'll see. There's a chance this could work. I don't know. Hard to say. The trailer's not bad, but it's a teaser, so we need to see a little bit more just to get a better idea. The one that was mediocre, even though it was sort of fun, but it was just sort of a complete retread. I mean, to the point where it's just repeated the exact same beats as the original, was Coming to America, which was the sequel to Coming to America, if that makes any sense. And that was put out by Amazon. And it just wasn't, you know, it was all right. But, you know, maybe Coming to America didn't really need a sequel. Sometimes you wonder why it took even this long for this one to get on board. The good news is Eddie Murphy turned down one script after another since just before 2009. So it's been in gestation for quite some time, this movie. And finally, Jerry Bruckheimer got involved. And he knew what was the formula and how it could work. And Eddie was on board. The last time Eddie Murphy played Axel Foley, actually, was for a TV series that never got past the pilot episode, and it was called Beverly Hills Cop. And it was going to have Brandon T. Jackson playing Axel's, son. But actually, I'd seen some of that. They managed to make that. It's not bad. It was pretty funny. I thought it was pretty good. Certainly miles ahead of Cop 3. So anyway, what do the rest of you think out there? Are you looking forward to yet another sequel to a franchise that has been dormant for 30 years? It's hard to believe. What do you think of Eddie Murphy? When was he at his best or his worst? Any comments out there, particularly about Beverly Hills Cop? I think this one might be decent, but maybe it'll be better than that. I hope so. Like I said, the first film was the best, and the second one was pretty good. But those are just my thoughts. Lend me yours. I got quite a few new subscribers. Thank you very much to all who subscribe to my channel. And anyone else who hasn't subscribed, please do. I will have a new intro video soon, sort of a way of making people or letting people know just what my channel is all about. It's about movie reviews and stuff like that, and occasionally I'll discuss a trailer. I won't do a trailer reaction other than talking about my reaction. So please subscribe, hit that notification bell up there for future uploads, and I guess that's all I got to say about that. And this is Jerry Saravia the Movies, signing off.